The ending of this episode reminds me of Justice League Doom because a large group of people stomp out the main character like the Parademons did Green Lantern. What's up, guys? This is Courtney, one half of the brothers Deconstruction here, and I'm bringing you the second episode in weekly watchings of the Twilight Zone. This is episode 2, titled Nightmare at 30,000 Feet, and it's actually a remake of one of the original episodes titled Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, which starred William Shatner. This episode stars Adam Scott, who plays an investigative journalist that is going on a flight to Tel Aviv, and he comes across an MP3 player that's playing a podcast, and as he listens to the podcast, he realizes that it's describing the sequence of events regarding the vanishing of the plane that he's on, and he starts freaking out and trying to stop whatever happened with the plane, and he ends up befriending like a former pilot. And just weird stuff happens. This episode is getting a mixed review from me because of how they kind of remake the original Nightmare at 20,000 Feet. Now I don't have a problem with the fact that they remade the episode. Where my problem lies is that, one, the episode is really, really predictable, and two, I don't know, I guess it's just because I like the original Twilight Zone so much that they hide the monster that kind of terrorized William Shatner's character on the wing of the plane. They cut the monster out completely, except for in the little Easter egg, they have a little doll of the monster that washes up on shore with the wreckage of the plane and everything like that. But it's really, really predictable because as soon as Scott's character, starts trying to stop certain things from happening, I immediately said to myself, this dude causes the plane to vanish or crash or whatever happens to the plane. He's the reason that it happens because he's listening to this podcast and he's actually playing out the sequence of events trying to stop what he's hearing in the podcast. It's like the typical self-fulfilling prophecy type of episode where the person gets all this information that something is going to happen and they're trying to stop it from happening, and over the course of them doing that, they inadvertently cause the event to happen that they're trying to stop. So I immediately telegraphed this and knew that he was going to cause the plane disappearance, essentially. And he does that by giving the former pilot that he met access to the cockpit. Because he said the pilot befriends him and he's like, hey, I believe everything that you're saying, blah, 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 this and that. And then Adam Scott's character is like, I think his name is Justin. Oh my God, you're a former pilot. You can land this plane. You can stop whatever's going to happen. Because it's supposed to be happening at 11:15. So he says, I can't get in the cockpit. It's locked off by a security code. And he says it's 10:15, which is the time that the flight was supposed to depart, as well as the flight number. So the guy gets in there, knocks out the crew, knocks everybody out. The thing about it is that everybody on the plane survives the crash. Adam wakes up, or Justin, I should say, wakes up and then sees one of the children that was on the flight. And he's listening. He finds the MP3 player and he continues to listen to the podcast, which says, hey, I thought we were done going over this mysterious flight, but, we're not finished. Everybody on the flight survives except for the investigative journalist, Justin Sanderson. And then he's like, wait, huh? And so all the passengers turn up and they start walking towards him on this, on the beach, on the shore. And as it zooms out, it shows them converging on him and basically killing him. Because all the other passengers survived except for him. He disappeared. Nobody knows what happens. And it shows the passengers basically stomping him out like a parademon. And my problem is that I think what would have been a little bit more, I don't want to say a little more clever, because again, these are professional writers. These are people who get paid and who have experience doing this job in this career, right? What I would have done though is that you can easily tell early on that he's going to be the person that causes the plane to disappear off the radar, blah blah blah. He's gonna help bring that event to pass, right? So if you know that, I think the better thing would have been, he already has anxiety and this and that. The better thing would have been for him to kind of like chalk it up to, I'm anxious. This is a weird podcast, but whatever. I'm not gonna pay attention to it. I think it would have been better if there would have been another person on the flight with his exact same name. High coincidence, I know, right? I think that would have been a little bit more cooler, because then there's nothing that he could have done. So it would have been, we have this Justin Sanderson who was acting erratic on the flight beforehand, and he did this, and who knows what really happened. And then it changes the ending a little bit as well. But I think that would have been a cool twist to add to it, that, he's just freaking out about this. And, it turns out that it's somebody else on the plane with his exact same name. They don't have to bring up the fact that he's investigative journalist, because then the suspension of disbelief just becomes too big. Two people with the exact same name, exact same career on the exact same flight becomes a little too far-fetched. But I think that would have been a cool little twist, that a different Justin Sanderson was the one acting erratic and trying to stop whatever was happening on the flight, according to the podcast. So I thought overall the acting was fairly fine. Adam Scott did a pretty good job of being unhinged and slowly having a psychotic break over what he's listening to in the podcast. But early, I don't know. It's just, you can telegraph it early on that he's going to be the reason that the plane disappears. You just know it. He's bothering other passengers. He gets caught by the undercover air marshal for what he's doing. And, he just, once the pilot that he befriends, he pops up at a couple of certain instances where it's a little suspicious. It's like, hey, I believe what you're saying, or blah, 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 this and that. And it's like, that dude's up to something. And his motivation for crashing the plane doesn't really make any sense. He had some type of failure before in his past, which led to him, I guess, being fired and losing his career. So to atone for that mistake, he's going to now crash the plane. I don't know. That just didn't really make a whole lot of sense. Overall, I think the acting was fairly well, and they kind of did a good job of suspense and actually setting up the sequence of events regarding his reaction to him. But I think the story could have gone in a different way with a much better twist than, oh shit, this dude inadvertently causes the crash. And then he realizes it and he's like, oh, he's the pilot. I think that could have been executed a little bit differently as far as his realization. But, what can you do? So the second episode of Twilight Zone, I'm not too big on, especially because it was a remake of a very, very popular episode. So it's an okay episode. I think they do some good suspense building and unraveling with what's going on with Justin's kind of mental state. And it's a little bit surreal, because you always think about, damn, what if you get this feeling? Again, it's similar to the Final Destination thing. What if you get this feeling that something bad is going to happen and nobody believes you, and it ends up happening? So yeah, guys, that's my review on episode 2 of Twilight Zone. I'm going to try to get to some of the other ones over the next couple of weeks. I'm watching this an episode at a time. So ideally, I'm going to watch most of the season in one sitting, give or take, and then record reviews after I watch each episode, and then just edit them and then get them posted so I don't have to worry about trying to keep up with this, actually keeping up with this week by week. So, as always, I appreciate the support, whether it's 1, 5, 10, or 100 views. Be on the lookout for all the other reviews coming up for the Twilight Zone. Check out some of the other super late reviews, and I'll catch up with you guys later.